Welcome, everybody, to Breaking the Silence. You have a voice. We are here once again with you on this wonderful, fantastic, terrific Tuesday. And we want to welcome all of our viewers on Facebook, YouTube, and the Caribbean channel to our show. I am your host, Lady V, and we have your host, Dr. Yvonne Bennett, Pastor Melanie Butler, Pastor AT, and Minister Isaac Davis. Wow. How's it going, guys? How you doing, Dr. Bennett?
I'm doing well. It was quite cold today, but I'm doing well in the cold.
You survived the snowstorm. Y'all was snowed in for a minute.
No, we didn't get anything hardly down here.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay.
Very, very little. Just a duster.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
And how you doing, Pastor Mel?
I am doing well. Just trying to stay warm
I know.
because it's cold outside.
Yeah, and it keeps getting colder. That's the thing. It's like a
Yes.
bitter cold. It's a bitter cold.
Yes, go
And
right
then,
through
I
me.
don't understand. I saw somebody come and drop their child off today, and they had on a tank top and some flip flops.
There's
I
no
said, did I
way.
miss the memo? I was
Flip
like,
flops and a tank top?
yes,
No, that's
flip flops and
crazy.
a tank top. That seems to be like, everybody is immune to the cold or something, I guess. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah, but all right, hey, more power to them. To me, I'm going to wear my coat because it's cold.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's cold, and COVID is still out there, so I'm
Thank you.
okay. How you doing, Pastor At?
I am doing well. I mean, the weather is kind of schizophrenic around here. It'll be ice cold in the morning and then 67 degrees in the afternoon. So you really don't know whether to put your shorts on or your long john. So I really don't know. So I really don't feel bad for the person who had their flip flops on, because if they lived in Georgia and Alabama around these parts, I can understand depending on what time of the day.
Yeah. Well, I think we finally hit winter, so you know it's
Yeah.
you can't take no chances because the weather is what it is. How you doing, Minister Isaac Davis? How's it
I'm
going,
doing good.
Dr.
Doing
Isaac?
good. Chilling. Uh, sobbing a little bit, cause my team lost, but I'm still gonna wear my jersey. Got both my teams showing, so it's all good.
Yeah, let's give it up for the Steelers. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this week is going. It's going. COVID is still out there. Y'all. I don't know. These last 2 years, this is probably the worst. That I don't
This
know.
is.
This is the worst. I think that is catching us by surprise because we didn't think that it was gonna be like this in January on the 11th.
Thought it was going to be over. And look, it's so funny because the years get mumble jumbled, because me and Jemiah, we were having a conversation and she was like, yeah, last year or the year before. I'm like, no, 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 no. So I have to remind her because she graduated in 19. So for me, because we're still dealing with COVID, I start with 2019 and then I can move
Yeah.
because COVID, yeah, to try and keep up, because it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. It's hard to believe 2 years, going on 2 years. Well, 2 years we've been dealing with it.
Yeah, but this I think is the
True.
worst year.
It
It's
is.
supposed to
It
get
is.
better. It's gotten worse. So
Exactly.
I'm not sure what's
Yeah.
going on. But needless to say, it's here. But I think that when I was kind of thinking about the show, I said, so we talked about making a change in the new year and why people don't want to change. And then last week we talked about ready, set, go. But then I thought about it and I said, the biggest problem with a lot of people is that I think our focus is so off. We're so focused on the news, COVID, the news, COVID. It's like it is totally the 11th of January, and that's all our focus is on because it's like it's right here in our face now. So it's easier said than done to tell people, okay, it's a new year, let's get back on track, let's get going, let's set a plan. But to most people, they're like, things are shutting back down. The schools are shutting back down. Jobs are getting, affected by this again. So how do we focus when there's such a distraction? And I'm going to say that we are totally, I think a lot of us are surprised because we did not think it was going to be like this. So now we have the distractions going on with this thing. So how do we get
V, it all depends on what you classify as a distraction.
Ooh,
That's a
say it.
key aspect. Um, I can honestly say I've never considered this environment that we're in a distraction the entire 2 years. I am one to say that these 2 years have been the most blessed 2 years of my life. And when I say spiritually, personally, professionally, financially, all 360 that you can think of is every single thing I've wanted to do within these past 2 years. That God has really sustained me. He has really kept me. He's really and he's really advanced me. And even this year, 2022, I proclaim this year to be a double portion.
I
Um,
know that's
Amen.
right.
so because I proclaim that to be a double portion, God has already instituted things, and He's already started. He's already started on January the 3rd, my first day back at work. He actually started. So 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 I don't classify the issues of this world as distractions. I see them as opportunities to captivate and to focus on what God is doing in my life versus what society is saying that this is our issue.
Mm, I mean, I agree with you. For me, these last 2 years has been probably the best for me. But when we look at the overall, because we can't ignore that it's still there and it's still a hindrance. It may not be for you because you work from home, but for me it is because I work in a building, and when it only takes one phone call, like for instance, I had a staff member today who came in today and felt well today, and then at about 12 o'clock I get a phone call and she's like, I don't have any taste and I don't have any smell. And I'm like, what? And then she went and she took a COVID test and tested positive, which caused my classroom to have to close down. So for some, for my personal life, I totally agree with you. It is wonderful. But when we talk about the reality of what's going on in the world today, it is now affecting the school systems again. So now what we thought was, the schools are opening and the kids were back on track. Now the distraction is, we got to figure out how we're going to educate these children again out of the building. How are we going to function? Because now we lose money every time we close. We don't make money because we can't charge the parents if they can't bring the children. So when I say distractions, it's like we came into January 1st on a hype, but we got a monkey wrench in the plan. So for our personal life, definitely. But for some people, I think that it has thrown us off a little bit because we didn't expect the numbers to be like it. We've been in this thing for 2 years, but this is like full force now. I mean, this is the 11th of the month. I've had 35 parents come down with COVID in 1 week. So I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a distraction because I'm losing money. Because every time I got to give somebody call out and they got to quarantine. And here's the thing, the CDC says 5 days, but for
Correct.
children who don't wear masks, it's still the 10. So we got to give, now this classroom that closed today, we can't even charge people. So it is a distraction because you came in with a plan and you're like, yeah, you're not going to make that revenue, and every
But
week
see,
I'm closing down classrooms. So
but,
that's put a
but, see,
little
but,
bit a
but like
little
we talked,
wrench in the plan.
but like we talked about on last week, we've gone through 2 years of this, so we should have somewhat of a contingency.
Correct.
Now, in your case, that may not be the case because you need those children there to make money. But I do remember on a couple episodes back, you said that you had lost your job during COVID and got an even better job. What that tells me that even in the midst of these situations, there's still some better out there for you. So if it did go away, and this is where I'm thinking about this focus thing. The focus thing is not on what's going on around us, but what are our goals? What is our purpose? What is our destiny and what we're supposed to do? If we stay in line with that, and there's really no distractions, as long as you're focused on what you're supposed to do. If it's to teach, whether it's teaching these kids here or creating a program and teaching online, because these inventions and things that come into the world usually come from a lack or necessity. So if there is a plan that's not there, the children still need to learn. So maybe it's an opportunity for an investment to do something different. The problem is we don't like change. Once we find something we like,
it. You're
but
absolutely
when we
right.
talk about, okay, let's go back though. When we talk about us, we got that. But when we talk about others,
other people,
because
correct,
when you talk, I can't tell someone to focus. Okay, for instance, you're a parent and you have a child that can't go to school, but you're the parent that need to go to work. Now you have to redirect your focus. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we redirect? Because this is only the 11th of the month, and a lot of people are frustrated. They are.
No,
because
I totally get what you're saying. I get what all three of you all are saying, and that is true, because we get it, we understand it, we know where to put our priorities, but those who don't know where to put their priorities, those who don't know how to focus, knowing that it is a distraction. Now for us, that's something, for them, not knowing who they're in relationship with, the people they're in relationship with, to help try and bring their focus back on point, and letting them know, okay, wait a minute, it is a monkey wrench, but this should be a time where it shouldn't be a distraction, because like we said, we've been going through this for 2 years. What do we have in place? The parents, what do you have in place? What is your default when my child is sick or I'm sick? What do you have in place? We've been going through this for 2 years. So we should, and just everybody should have something in place, so that when there so that you don't lose your focus. Or if you do lose your focus, you can reel it back in.
I think that, and I totally agree with everyone. And don't get me wrong, I agree with what you're saying. But I think the thing that we have to realize that absolutely changed the game this time is it's affecting the children. The last 2 years, it didn't affect the children. So the last 2 years, children weren't getting sent home, where parents had to stay home, and children had to quarantine. Before, it wasn't that way. When COVID first came out, children continued to come to school, and thus they showed signs and symptoms. Now, because children are coming down with it, when the parents get diagnosed, the parents who are vaccinated, they can go back to work within 3 to 5 days. But the children have to stay home for the full 14 days. That's the difference. Ooh. So they don't have a contingency plan on that, because they're like, I can go back to work in 5 days, but we're saying, nope, you got to stay home with your child for the whole 14 days. That's tough. And all I'm saying is there was no plan for that. We didn't foresee that coming. We have not had any COVID. There was no children coming down with COVID. But now it's affecting the infants, the toddlers, the preschool, the pre-K, the school agers. So now the parents, that's why we're talking about how do we get people to refocus, because before they only had to worry about themselves. And the answer to the whole thing was, I'll get vaccinated. I'll get the booster. But now my child has to stay home with me. And I can't go to work. So how is that? And here's the thing. If you have more than one child, like last week, 3 classrooms closed down. So I kept one child home, but now I got to stay home with the other child.
Ooh.
What's the game plan? Because you can't even come up with a plan that quick. So all I'm saying is people are being confronted with different situation than what we've experienced over the 2 years. And even myself, I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years. I haven't had any classrooms closed. When you have a classroom closed, is not just closing classroom. The health department has become my bestie. I don't want to
Right.
be a bestie with the health department.
And not only that, but too, because now people can no longer, and it's sad because people had taken advantage of, hey, I think I've been exposed, so I got to stay home. They took advantage of those 14 days. And now that it's needed, now what do you do? And I hear exactly what you're saying, because I didn't think about that, because some of these parents, but it's nothing they can do, because and I know what I said, what do they have in place? Because if somebody has COVID, you can't ask somebody to come over and keep your kid. You can't say, hey, can you babysit? Or what am I gonna
It's so
do?
true. So true.
It's like, what do I do? And not only that, but if you don't even have the leave time to be able to take to stay with your children.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So let's talk about then. So now that we know that there could be possibly some distractions, how are we handling it? Because with the distractions, people are frustrated, and with distractions, we sometimes get overwhelmed. So what's the answer now? I know I've been talking to mom, and the counseling is up here now.
But
So
also this, remember, the distraction is only distraction because you claimed it to be a distraction. So
Distraction
I
is not
think
a.
that the way that
Mhm.
the way that you get people back focused is not to have them focus on what they're calling the distraction is.
Yeah.
So yes, COVID is there. That is the environment that we're in. How I see COVID no different than than the flu or the cold. This
Mhm.
is the time of the year that we have it. Technically, we can get a cold or the flu all year long. The same
Correct.
thing with our COVID. So as long as you're doing all the preventive measures to sustain yourself when it comes to boosting your immune system, then you have a better chance of not catching COVID.
Well,
so
like you
let's
said,
talk.
I agree with what has been said. Uh, of course, our personal lives, we know who we trust in. We know where who our source is. But a lot of people, they don't have a plan. They do
They
not have a
don't.
plan. They live from second 1 second to the next second. They don't live looking or expecting something to happen. So when something happens, they panic. And when you panic, of course you're going to be distracted, because now you don't know which way to go. You don't, what do I do? And like it's been said, if your child has COVID, you can't have somebody come in and to watch it. Nobody's going to come in to watch your child. Nobody's even going to come in to attend to you if you have
Exactly.
COVID. So it's a matter of just continuing to talk to people, because there's a positive distraction, and the positive distraction is to get your mind off of what you're stressed about. Get your
Exactly.
mind off of that. Let's use that positive distraction. I'm going to get rid of that stress, and I'm going to flip it over so I can think. Because when you are distracted, you cannot think. Your thinking ability
Mhm.
it's just not there. It's like you don't know anything. You don't, what do I do? And as far as the children is concerned, many children have come down with this thing, and this is what's causing a lot of people to become distracted. Parents don't know what to do. I was listening to Dr. Isaac. He said this has been a great year, a great 2 years. I can, those are my sentiments as well. I can attest to that. But there are some people that didn't know, didn't take advantage of them being blessed. You can be
Mhm.
blessed. You
Right.
don't even
Oh, that's
realize
true.
you're being
That's
blessed.
it. That's it
If you're
right.
being
Say
financially
it.
blessed and you're in the middle of a pandemic, then that means save that gas money that you're not using. Save
Say
this.
it.
Put something away for a rainy day. So because it's going to rain, it's definitely going to rain. And
Mhm.
when it rains, sometimes it pours. But if you have something, and that's what's causing these distractions most of the time. People have nothing saved. They live from 1 second to the next second. It's Pastor At said it so nicely. I mean, we've been in this thing long enough to know how to function. Not just the Christians, but non-Christians as well.
That's it.
You've
And that's
been
my
in
point.
this. I mean, what do you have to do? Be hit in the head with a hammer to see?
Right.
Hey,
But
you
I think
gotta
that
have you gotta have something that you can rely upon.
But I think
Mm-hmm.
that the thing is, for the 2 years that people have been in this, a lot of people have not taken advantage of
Right.
They
really
haven't.
sitting down
Heck no.
and coming up with you said contingency. I think contingency, you think contingency, but people that live from day to day and they're only looking at the situation, it's amazing how people are still bent out of shape about just wearing the mask. You tell people to wear the mask. You tell people you got to take their temperature.
Yeah.
You tell people, I'm like, this is not something new, but
Right.
because they have never learned how to handle distractions of other things, because it's not
Right.
just COVID, it's just
Right.
life, period.
Anything.
So then distractions causes us to become destructive.
Yeah.
And a lot of times
Yeah.
this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of destructive behavior now.
Right.
People are over these 2 years, we thought that people would have gotten closer. Now, some relationships have, but for the most part, for what you say, people are gone crazy. It's
Yeah.
like, it's designed to do this, but we're not
Correct.
doing this. We're
Yeah.
doing this because
Yeah.
we can't accept the change. And I think that the people that have struggled with this over the past 2 years are people who struggle with change. If you don't like change, this is not going.
But,
This right here
but then
is
that's
not
the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Then that's the overall problem that we have to deal with first. Okay.
Yes.
If the right today we're talking about focus, right? Honestly, I should not have to change my focus. If I am focused and I'm goal oriented, I will adjust to the goal. The
Say
contingency is not
it.
just the fact you don't come up with a contingency unless you know what the goal is and the
That's right.
purpose is. Ultimately, what we're dealing with is people who need to find out what is the goal for their life,
Right.
because what's going to happen is it will let up, it will lessen out, it will somewhat go back to normal. We may find ourselves in the same cycle 6 months, a year from now, and you'll be back in the same situation because you never learn how to focus. You never learn how to put first things first and prioritize and save when you need to save, and you splurge when you don't need to splurge, you splurge when you shouldn't splurge. So these are the things that we have to learn now. And if you never learn them, you'll be in the same situation no matter whether it's COVID or not. You're gonna lose focus.
But
Well,
I
do you
think
think
too,
that
one of
people?
the things that causes people to get distracted is complaining. People
Oh,
spend a lot of
yes.
Mindset.
time
Yeah.
complaining
Yes.
about what they don't have and where are we going to go from here, and what if this thing lasts to 2023? If it lasts to 2024, there's nothing we can do about it.
COVID
Nothing.
gave them an excuse for something to complain about. They were going to complain anyway.
Right.
Oh, it's
Exactly.
too cold. Oh, it's too wet. It's January. January's supposed to be cold. January's supposed to
Correct.
be wet. You knew it was going to be cold and wet in June. So you
Yes.
need to make the change.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
right. It's so true. It's your mindset.
It
Bible
Yes.
says,
is.
as a man thinketh, so is he. There's some context to that, but you need to understand that your mind is the first battleground.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to see what is true and what is right unless you have your eyes open. I did a thing, right? And I'm posting a lot, right? And I'm gonna say this real quick. I was getting ready to say a comment that wasn't true, right? I said that I said, don't be an ostrich and put your head in the ground because you can't see what's going on. I was gonna be all super religious and spooky about it, right? And then God said, look up why an ostrich sticks their head in the ground. Because
Mhm.
obviously it doesn't make sense for them to stick their head in the ground, and most of them are up. I
Right.
looked it up, And the reason why they stick their head in the ground is because they are turning the eggs so that the eggs can do what they need to do as far as to mature. What I realized is the ostrich got their head in the ground. They grinding. They focus on what's important to them, their legacy, their future. That's what they're focused on. Everybody else think they stupid and look crazy. We've been saying that thing for years. But now we get an understanding that we need to focus, put our head in the ground on what's important. One last thing. Let me say this. When we talk about us as Christians, we know how to maneuver through this. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of Christians who don't know how to focus. There's a lot of Christians who waste their time. A lot of Christians who don't have time management. What I'm talking about is biblical principle. The studies that I'm doing right now are in Proverbs and Psalms and different things like that. And they're talking about principles that anybody can use to change their life.
Yes.
But I think that the thing is too, people are so busy and they're so used to being busy doing a lot of things. But a lot of those things that they're busy doing is not productive, you know,
at all.
A lot of times we just do stuff. We just do stuff. You know, we going here, we doing this, we doing that, and we never stop to say, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? You know, why am I not focused? Why can't I accomplish my goals? Why can't I accomplish, you know, my long-term goals, my short-term goals? Because a lot of times, and I'm going to tell you, the number one distraction is social media.
Oh, it
now,
is.
It's designed,
if you allow it to be.
It's designed to be a positive thing if you allow it to be. But because we spend countless hours on it doing other things, it becomes a distraction. Another thing that becomes a distraction is our phones. Our phones can be some of the most powerful tools because it has a lot of things that we can use to do what we need to do. But we can't get anything done because our phone is a distraction. So when you think about it, a lot of things don't get accomplished and we get frustrated because here we are again, it's January 11th and the year is going to go by just like that. So when we think about last January 11th, the year went by so fast. A lot of people are like, I missed it. I didn't accomplish anything. I had goals, but I didn't accomplish anything because all of the things around us becomes a distraction. You know, there's so much focus on, go back to COVID. And so that's all people are doing. They said they wake up in the morning and they watch the news. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, I haven't watched the news, y'all, in 2 years. Because you know what? I can't do anything about it. So I'm not really concerned. Yes. I read what I need to read and I keep it moving. But a lot of times we get distracted and then we get frustrated and we become destructive, which then causes us to become dysfunctional.
Because you start to live what you allow to come into your environment. Exactly. You start to live that thing out. It's just as if you're there. If you watch a movie long enough about a man beating his wife, you know, it's like am I there? Is that me? You know, that's why you have to be careful of what you allow to come into your environment because it deters your thinking. You got to keep your thinking, your mind renewed every single day.
And that's a great point. I recently have been on this kick. And I preached it and I started to live it based off of what we were talking about. It's one of the things where we don't do time management wisely. For example, I know I need to take care of my body, so I exercise. But most people, they either listen to music or they watch people a show or something. I realize those people who I'm watching or listening to have fulfilled their purpose in God, and I'm reaping the benefits of what they're doing.
Very good.
But what I haven't done is did the same thing. So I spend 10 hours binge watching. I'll watch these shows and then don't get anything from it. So what I started doing is, okay, let me read a book that's going to benefit me. Let me listen to a book that's going to benefit me. Let me create a goal or purpose. So let me go after it. So right now, I maximize my time by doing other stuff that invests inside of me because I can't spend too much time on things that don't invest in me. my barber was talking about he started to where he doesn't watch a TV show unless he's folding clothes or doing something around the house where he can be productive and he's just not wasting time and just taking in stuff, but not giving out or being productive or learning anything. And it's really just changing my mindset of how I move. I can't waste time on TikTok all day. And there's nothing wrong with being on TikTok. You just don't want to be on there to 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning watching stuff. You should be getting rest. And you know you should be getting up early in the morning to work out. Talking about I don't have no energy. That's why you ain't got no energy, because you stay up doing stuff.
Because you stayed up all night long.
It is so true. No, that's true.
And you have to channel your energy. You have to channel your energy in the right areas. You really
do. And so for these distractions, we have to learn how to get back on track. You know, I think about a train track, you know, and how it may get derailed. You know, our life, it did get derailed, but what I think it was designed to do, because like I have said before, we had the time and the opportunity to rest. That time was a time for all the things that we put off because we were busy. We literally had that time to actually do it. Now, in the beginning, some people actually did it, and then some people didn't. And then when you look back, you're like, oh my God, if I could get that time back, guess what? We're not going to get that time back. You know, and so that was a distraction. But that distraction was I think it was a reset for us. And like I was saying earlier, this is an opportunity, because of we have been in this, everybody still needs a plan in place. We need to, because, okay, now it's COVID. What is it going to be within the next, let's say, 90 days, year, 3 years? And what my mind went back to was 9/11. Look at what happened with 9/11 and that distraction. Look at what it caused. And look at how many years it actually took us to somewhat be right back on track.
That's true. That's true. And I think that a lot of times, you know, it's like a GPS. We fight it, but, you know, the GPS says you go left.
And we're going right.
And you fight with the GPS, and the GPS is telling you where to go, but you're going just the opposite of where the GPS. And then when it says we've out, you get mad at the GPS and you don't want to follow it. But sometimes you have to reroute. You have to reroute, and you have to go a different direction in order to fulfill something. Pastor AT said, you know, you don't have to change your focus. You just need to redirect it. You just need to go. You may have to go a different direction in order to get to where you're trying to go, because that may be a blocked area for a reason. So you have to figure out, okay, so if this is blocked, do I go this way? Do I do this? But a lot of times we get frustrated. We just quit. This is what happening. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. This is going to be another year. I don't accomplish anything. And I think that that's where the frustration comes in.
Yeah.
Because
and that's very true.
I become angry at the world because now time has passed me by and I haven't accomplished. You think about it. Since you have some people, they've been out of high school for about 20, 30 years, and they haven't accomplished anything.
That's true.
And they're some of the most angry, frustrated people because they live day by day doing nothing. And I think that one of the things that causes a distraction is our past. You know, we look at our past and we can't get past our past. It's like, it happened. It happened. Your past is your past, but what are you pressing towards? You know, a lot of times we look back and we're like, well, this happened and this relationship broke up, so now I can't move forward. You gotta move. You gotta keep going. But a lot of times people get stuck because they can't see past their past. So that's one of the things that causes a lot of people to get destructive and distracted is themselves.
And they lose focus. They lose focus. They lose focus.
Exactly. And what we have to do, we have to see when there's a shift in our life, that's a time for us to get on and start moving with the shift. But because we're so comfortable with where we are at, we
Yeah.
see the shift and allow the shift to move right on by. No, you're not shifting me.
That's
I'm going
not
to
for
stay
me.
right here. I'm staying put. And then when you look up after the shift is gone, it's like, wait a minute, what happened? Because we get
Mhm.
complacent, and then when we get complacent, we get lazy. And so, because we're
Mhm.
lazy,
Um,
we don't
Yep.
want to move
Exactly.
forward. We don't want
Exactly.
to do anything different. Why? Because it's going to challenge you to
Because
get
it's going
up
to
off
change. That's
your
right.
rusty dusty
And
and to
grow.
do something different and to do something better.
Yeah.
but you know what?
What
Also,
was that I
people need
quoted
to.
that I said on? What was the quote that I said on our Sunday, Pastor
Oh,
Mel? That
um,
will
um,
that will I
um,
allow my hangups to disrupt my purpose?
that's
Yeah.
it.
So
We
And a lot
can't
so
do
of times
that.
people get caught up in those things that hurts their hangups, and they can't get past it. They just can't. They allow those things to become their GPS, and it
a
moves
lot of
them.
people they just strictly just want to hold on to whatever it is that they
So
want to hold
true.
on to, and then they begin to blame every single thing
Yes.
around them of
Yes.
why things are not
Yes.
progressing the way that they
Mhm.
feel that things should be progressing, and and all the while it is simply you holding on to whatever it is that you should have been let go, and just move forward, and just move forward in life. I'm not saying that that you won't hurt, that you won't have pain, that you won't have some sort
Disappointment.
of depression. But even when that happens, you have to talk to yourself. You have to encourage yourself to get up out of that. And so
Yes.
once you encourage yourself to get up out of that, then you can move forward. But just don't hold on to it.
And that's
People
true. And it's
people
true.
want to hold on. Go ahead. I'm
That's
sorry.
true, Dr. Isaac, because a lot of times people that hold on to stuff, they're afraid of the pain that they're going to
Yes.
incur if they
Say
do let
it.
go. They are afraid of what they're going to have to face. So it's not that they can't, it's just that they are afraid to. They're afraid. You're gonna it's just like the candy, now or later. You're gonna suffer now or later. So I think I'd rather go through with it. Let's get through it and get
Yes,
it
get
over with,
get
because
get through it and get over with it.
yeah, you keep holding on.
Yes.
There's some people that are divorced and they're still holding on to
Mm-mm.
why this thing happened, why this thing.
Mm.
You gotta let it go. Just let it.
Over
You
8
have,
billion
and I
people
know,
on the planet.
and I get accused. Trust me, I get accused when I use that terminology. But I do know from my personal experience, there are things I had to let go of. You
You
Hmm.
have to
do.
let go of things because it's just like a marriage. If a marriage breaks up, don't look at it as you lost the person. Look at it like this: they lost me.
Yes.
Right.
Well, hey, with the
Right.
Yes.
lessons you
Yeah,
got,
they
you,
lost
Exactly.
you
But
me.
know,
but
That's
and
positive
and that's
thinking.
the thing. And them holding on to it, that is their distraction. And
Yes.
like you
hmm
said, people don't want to let go of what they're dealing with because, like you said, the pain. And
Mhm.
then I also believe that they don't want to release it because it's like something they may be given to the other person, not knowing that you need to
Yeah.
release people for
Yes.
you
Yes.
because it's
yes,
Mhm.
not healthy for you, and you releasing some. And the sad thing is that the other person that you may be
it's
holding a
living their
grudge
life.
against or whatever, they done moved on
They done
happily
moved
ever
on.
after,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
you are stuck in a rut. That is your distraction. You won't get past it. You won't allow the future or the sunshine to
Right.
rise in your
To right.
life.
That's
Right.
right.
You.
I got a divorce 3 years ago.
It
For
doesn't
two
even seem like
years,
it's been that
I know
long.
it don't, but it has. But 3 years ago, for 2 years, I held on to a whole bunch of pain and hurt for 2 whole years. And then I had to tell myself, number one, why are you holding on to this? What's the
Hmm.
reason for you to be holding on to this? Why are you allowing yourself to be in this state of mind and to be in this place of depression when you just should have when you just could have easily encouraged yourself to actually come out of that. So we have to talk to ourselves. We gotta
You do.
and we got to have that person that's a confidant with us that that we can talk to in that pain to get
That's
over it,
right.
And then also you got to encourage yourself, but also it's good to have somebody that encourage you too. So, uh,
Exactly.
but I told God that this is it. I no longer want to feel this. I no longer want to be in this position to where I'm dealing with this. And I had to tell myself that I am retrieving every single thing that I felt that it was hurt towards me. And you have to get to that point, because if not, I could still be in a point of depression. For what?
Hmm.
For what?
Hmm.
Because I simply am refusing to let it go.
And then and
Hmm.
to add on to that, a lot of people won't let it go because they take the time to convince themselves that they're right.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
They
Right.
will
yes,
not face the truth. The
yes.
truth
Correct.
will set you free.
Stubborn.
So they want people in general want to prove a point. I'm right, and I didn't do anything. It wasn't my
Correct.
fault. But when you face the truth, that will help you let it go.
Mhm.
But the thing about it is, even if it could be a little bit of truth to whatever, you still have to have a value system within yourself. I
Oh
think that
Yes.
a lot
yes.
of times
Mhm.
people get distracted because they put so much emphasis on other people and what
Yes.
other people say and how other people value them. So they're so easily moved. They can have a plan, and as soon as somebody says something, then that plan shifts because they don't have the God kind of confidence in themselves. So a lot of times they're easily moved. They're just
Mhm.
easily moved because people say things, people discourage it, and then we get easily discouraged because we don't have enough in ourselves to say, go
Yeah.
back to what Isaac said, okay, a divorce does not define me, whether it was
That's
my
right.
fault,
Exactly.
your
That's right.
fault, our fault together. It did. The bottom line is it didn't work.
That's
Okay.
right.
At
Correct.
the end of
That's
the
right.
day, it
Right.
didn't work.
Right.
And
Hmm.
I apologize for my part. You
Right.
apologize. I forgive
And
you
it's
because you
over.
may not
Mhm.
apologize. I forgive you for your part. And I'm going to keep it moving because you know what? I still have worth in me that goes beyond whatever I
Yes.
didn't do right and whatever you didn't do right. But a
Yeah.
lot of times we stay focused on the disappointments. We stay focused on the hurts and the way back, and we're still there and not looking at, I still have a value system. I still have
Mhm.
things to do. Still have things to accomplish. So I can't focus on I lost my job last year, but I won't be productive in my job this year. Focused
Hmm.
on losing my job last year. That job
Correct.
last year is gone. It's
That's
gone.
right.
Right.
It
Right.
the
Yeah.
end. Period. Sometimes you got to put a period on things, and
Yeah. That's
people
true.
don't want to put a period on
That's
things
true.
because it feels better to make excuses and to
To
That's
wallow
right.
massage it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
than it is to step out of fear and to keep moving.
All these
Say
things that we go
there.
through within life, whether it be a divorce, whether it be a separation, whatever it is, it comes about to make us better.
Mhm.
It comes
Mhm.
about to make us stronger. We can't, play the blame
Mhm.
game. Just whatever you go through within life, I don't care whether it's ministry, on your job, or your physical body, everything that we go through with comes about to make us stronger. It makes us better instead of bitter. We have
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
become
Say
better,
And
not
it.
honestly,
bitter,
I'll be honest.
because we can't
Let me
help
be honest.
anybody if we just get bitter and just sit there and complain. And no, that's what causes us to lose focus, get distracted from our purpose.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like on Sunday, quote that I had said, don't allow your situation or don't allow your circumstance or situation be your incarceration. And
That's
Yeah.
that's
right.
what happened. And I think about Sharon made a comment about holding on to it. It's not holding on to us,
No.
We're
we're
holding on
holding
to it.
We're
on
That's right.
holding
to
to it.
it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that comment
Yeah.
that she had
Yes.
said. And it's true because we pick and choose what we want to hold on to.
Hmm.
Mhm.
When you have to, okay, it's okay to deal with it, but don't allow it to deal with
Deal
you,
with
You.
you.
because
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
deals with you, that's when the seed of bitterness,
Yeah.
unforgiveness, hatred. That's when that begins to rise up in people. And if you're angry, and that's why that scripture, it is the truth. Be true to your own self. Because if you
Yes.
can't be true to your own
Yes.
self and to God, then you have some
Mm,
serious issues.
Mhm.
And God cannot help you to heal if you're not honest with yourself and
Mhm.
with
that's
Him.
right.
Because once you confront what it is that you're really dealing with, God, I'm hurt because of this, I'm hurt because of that, and you tell Him, then, okay, my child, I can help you. Why? Because you're facing the reality of what is bothering you.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah, that is so true.
that
And
is
the flip side to that is, if you don't deal with it, it will
We'll
deal with
deal with
you.
you.
Oh,
That's right.
absolutely,
totally.
Yeah.
It will
Yes.
deal with you, and and
absolutely.
that's the tough part, because when it starts dealing with you, it can just strip you of
It can take
everything.
you
I mean, of
over.
your self worth
Mhm.
and everything. You have to know who you are and love who you are, and make the
That's it.
best out of who you are, and be the best that you can be, and that'll help you go forward.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah,
Amen.
absolutely,
and when you
absolutely.
think about it, okay, I'm this. It's today's Tuesday as of the recording of this video, so this is Confession Tuesday for me. And please don't leave me hanging if this happened to you. I remember back in the day when I would get sore and bruised or scraped up. Sometime I would touch the sore, and I would go back and touch it, or the bruise, and I would kind of feel on it,
Say it.
knowing
I know
that it
where
was
you're going.
painful. Maybe I was checking to see if it was still painful, but part of me was like, "This is an interesting sensation. It won't kill me necessarily, but it's not making me happy." But there was something. I'm okay. Maybe that's just me, but what I learned from that is human beings are the same way. Sometimes we just enjoy that pain just a little bit too
Yes.
Yes.
much. It may
Yes.
have happened on accident, but you holding on to it, you get some type of weird gratification from this. It needed when really you just need to let it go and let God heal it, or if it needs to be attended to, as Dr. Bennett was saying, and make sure it's medicated and taken care of so it don't get infested and cause worse damage later on. But don't play
Mhm.
with it. Don't play with
Yeah.
those things that we know that hurt us and play around
Yeah.
with it, and then we be in the same situation, waiting for the next
It,
hurt.
be, it becomes a
Exactly.
comfort zone. It becomes a
Yep.
comfort
Yes.
zone.
And
So y'all left me
it's
hanging.
and
Okay, I see how that
saying,
is.
yeah, no, it's
We
it's
didn't
so
leave you
funny
hanging.
because no, it's funny because like you said, it's a comfort zone. Even though we hate it,
Yeah.
in reality we like it.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
Hmm.
if it's something that you really didn't like, you would stop doing it.
I
Mhm.
looked at
Yes.
this 600-pound person,
My
and he's a
600-pound
school
life.
That
teacher,
story,
and,
that
and
story.
he said this. He said, "I hate myself. I hate the way I look." He said, "But food is my friend."
My best friend.
Yes, I'm telling you, but
I
it's
mean,
true
you know,
because he didn't get that size if it
right.
wasn't his friend.
right,
When you get sick
right.
and
Yeah,
tired of being sick and tired, I think you'll make a
That's
change.
it.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
And I think
Right.
that
Hmm.
you have to, a lot of times it starts with your mind, because a lot
It
of times
does.
we have,
Always.
our
Always.
mind is so, it's a powerful thing, and
Phew.
it's so cluttered, and it's so, and I think that on a lot of times we're afraid to confess it. We're afraid
That's
to,
it.
Mhm.
because there are times, as believers, we don't always feel top notch.
No.
Okay, we don't. There are times where we have those low moments, but we also, and I said this, I think it was to Mom. I said we have to have people that we can confide in, that we can trust. Because when you are having that moment, because it can just be a moment, it don't have to be a big thing, but it can just be a moment. Sometimes you need to talk it out so that what you're feeling, it's in the mind. And the
Mm-mm.
mind will play tricks on you, and it'll start telling you you're inadequate, you're
Yeah.
this, you're that. And next thing you know, you have slipped into a depression, or you slipped into a discouragement, and don't even know where it came from, because it's in your mind. But a
That's so
lot of
true.
times you
Mhm.
have to renew your mind. You have to talk. You have to, when you having those moments, it's important for you to say, let me call somebody. Let me just talk it out. And a lot of times people don't want to admit that they do have those moments. And
Yes.
this doesn't mean that you're less of a Christian or you're less of
No.
a person.
No.
Everybody has them, but a lot of times we waddle it and we stay there. It's okay to say, you know what, I don't like the way this went. I was
Right.
disappointed.
Yeah.
I was hurt. I don't like what you said. And that doesn't make us weak. But when we just sit there and we think about it and we think about it and we think about it, that's where we get distracted. That's where we
Right.
get, now we
Mm-hmm,
become
mm-hmm,
destructive.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
now we become dysfunctional because we're so deep in it until we're like, oh well, I know she kicked me to the curb, but I'm gonna become a Facebook stalker and see what she's doing. I'm gonna see I want to see. And we're like, you can't even focus on your own life because you're so
True.
busy focusing on what this and it's something that you just said, Pastor Melanie. That person went on with their life.
And it's true. It's very true.
Care less about what's
It's
going
very
on.
true. Yeah, that's very true. In my leadership classes, one of the things that I make sure that I put out to the people, every counselor needs a counselor.
You
Every
better say
pastor
it.
needs a pastor. Every
Yes.
psychiatrist needs a psychiatrist. Every psychologist needs a psychologist.
True.
Nobody has this thing so made that they don't
Mhm.
have a moment. And if you
That's
have a
right.
moment, even if it's just a thought,
Yes.
if that thought made you feel a certain way, expressing it can be a moment of healing. It only takes a moment for you to heal rather than for you to hold on to it, internalize it. It will fester and can fester into bitterness and hatred and self-control and condemnation and a whole lot of other stuff.
That's right.
Everything.
Everybody
right.
needs somebody.
That's
Everybody. I
right.
don't care who it is.
Amen.
Yes.
And talking about Confession Tuesday, Pastor AT, like for me, when I deal with different situations, there's times where I brew. It's like I'm brewing, and it takes me
Yeah.
days and maybe a week because I'm constantly replaying it over
Yeah.
and over and over,
again.
looking at it from their point of view, my point of view, what could have been different, what couldn't have been different,
Mhm.
shoulda, coulda, woulda. And after that, and that's the thing, I will deal with it. After that, then I'm able to release it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I meditated over the situation or what
Yeah.
was said so that I didn't suppress it,
Right.
but I dealt with it. And a lot of times I deal with it in the solitude of my own mind, and I have to talk to myself. There's other times where, you may need an atticus, and hey, what
Hey,
do
you
you
need a
think
Judas
about
too?
don't go there. Don't go there. But no, a Judas is good. Everybody do need a Judas.
Hey,
But but that helps me to, and that's how I deal with things, and I'm able to release it and let things go because I
but
deal with it.
even the actual powerful part in what Judas represents, Jesus knew that he was a problem.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
He knew that he was the problem. But watch this. Did he give that problem any type of attention? No, he did
Nope.
not. He didn't.
No, you
And
don't.
also he treated the problem with love.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With
But
love
that's how
until
that with loving
until
kindness have I
until
drawn thee.
right until it was time for Judas to do to fulfill his purpose. The moment it was time for Judas to fulfill his purpose, Jesus said, "It's time for you to do it's time for
That's
you to do
it.
what you need to do."
Yeah.
But see, here's
So,
the thing. This is where we become when those distractions come. If
mhm,
we're not in a settled place in our own heart,
Correct.
mhm,
we have to
Yes.
be in a settled place because it's always going to be where somebody is going to betray you. They're going to push that button.
right.
We walking around here in flesh. Okay, there's some we even though we love God, we still got triggers. So
Yeah.
you have to position yourself. If I got mad over every time somebody said something to me
Right.
that pushed my button, I'd be fighting every day because
Yeah.
there's gonna always be somebody that you have to deal with. But there's a way you deal with it. It's a way you say it. And it shouldn't be if you're so easily moved, if you're so
Right.
easily to be made angry. And when you get angry, you just want to fight, you just want to go up. That's a problem. That
It
is a
is.
problem. There should be a control and a settling in your spirit to where, okay, they said it, I didn't like it, but I'm I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna wait until I can say what's going to come out of my mouth the right way, so that I don't add fuel to the fire. Because that's what we do a lot of times. Sometimes
Yes.
people say things to us. You know, as a supervisor, I deal with a lot of young people, and y'all, it's really trying.
Ooh, their
Young folks can
mouth.
say some stuff to you, and you have to. Somebody said something to me the other day, and I literally just did this. Because I knew, I said, if I say what I want to say at this
No.
particular moment, first of all, it's going to damage this young person.
It ain't
So
gonna be nice.
even though I'm
Right.
in charge, I cannot misuse the authority that's given to me. So I
That's
have to
right.
be quiet.
That's right.
I have to not say, and I totally didn't say anything. I just, you know, it is the 11th of the month, ma'am, and you missed 14. You have 14 occurrences. I have nothing to say.
Oops.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Because
Oops.
those buttons get pushed, and when those buttons get pushed, we got to make sure that it goes back to what we said in the beginning. When you go through a breakup or whatever, don't look at the other person.
Correct. Look at yourself.
Look at me, because everything is a test and trial. If things are designed to show us where we are,
That's right.
not where the other person is, where are you? So when somebody does something, it shows you where you are. If you're quick to want to swing, you quick to want to cuss, you quick to want, we can take this to the street. Wait a minute, we're too old to be going to the street.
I know that's right.
True.
I don't want that. I don't want you pulling on my hair, scratching my face. I don't want you beating me up. I don't want to do any of those things. So it ain't worth it to me. It
ain't worth it,
really
that's right.
isn't. So, back in the day, we may have been short fused, and I know I was. I'll tell my own self, it's Tuesday. Yeah,
Jersey
I
girl.
used to be that person. You say something to me, what you say?
That's the Jersey girl for you.
But now I'm like, no, okay. I'm just gonna walk away, and
You have to pick your battles.
you pick
You
your
have
battles.
to pick and
You
choose
have
your
to.
battles. That's right.
You have
That's
to.
right.
Because it's
That's
not what
it.
you say, it's how you say it. And timing has everything to do with everything. Because I don't,
Everything.
you have to be
Everything.
slow to speak and swift to hear. I don't want
Whew.
to have to live something that I said that could have waited.
Yes.
Now I got to live the consequences. And like
Mhm.
Lady D said, it could destroy that person, because that should be my focal point.
Mhm.
How is this, whatever I'm going to say, how is it going to affect that person? Not the situation, but the
Right.
person. I
Correct.
don't want to hurt people. I really don't want to hurt people.
And this is the thing, because the enemy uses people,
Yes.
and for people to be a distraction in your life and to catch you. So that's why we have to be careful. We got to stay guarded. We did a teaching Bible study, putting on the whole armor of God. And it says at no time does it ever say to take the garment off.
Right.
No, but what happens is we get tired of
And we take it
carrying
off.
it. Right. And we
Yeah.
begin to take it off. And when we take it off, the enemy pounce. I said pounce on it.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to be vigilant. We have to be careful and be attentive.
And we already know that he's a thief. We already
That's
know that
it.
he comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. We
That's
already
it.
know that he's, as of a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So it being that we know that, we got to be ready.
We
Just got to
have
be ready.
to. We have to. But we get complacent.
Yeah.
We get complacent, and that's when those distractions that you were talking about, that's when we allow. And the distraction is because it's so funny, because this was a part of our teaching about distractions. What is it that is distracting you? We know what our distractions are. We know when something is distracting us, and there's sometimes we like the distractions, or we want to put the blame on distractions, because then we will say, oh, I was distracted. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. You knew
Yeah.
what you were supposed to be doing before you got distracted.
That's
When
right.
the distraction started coming in, you knew it, you recognized it, and you did nothing about it.
That's
But
right.
here's the thing: when you know that you need to let go of something, you need to totally remove it from your life.
You
That means
do.
that means if you gotta block it, if you gotta shut it down, whatever you gotta do, sometimes you gotta put a period on some things and just remove it from your life so it's no longer in sight. But a
That's
lot
right.
of
That's true.
times we struggle with that. It's like, well, I know I should leave this person alone. I know she's not a good friend, but you'll leave that person alone for about 2-3 days, and then you'll allow them.
And
No,
right
when
back.
I'm done, I'm done. I don't want to, because
Exactly.
when you know that something is not good for you and it is a distraction, you need to cut it off. It don't
Say
You
matter.
need to
it.
cut
It
it.
don't matter where they're going. It don't matter how many other
Say
friends that they make.
it.
Let
That's
it go.
right.
You move on, and you know what? I'm going to a better place. I'm going to do some things,
Yes.
but that right there, I gotta shut it down.
And
That's
a
right.
lot of
Say
time,
it.
and that is so true. But a lot of times, people can't do that because they need something from that person.
Yeah,
They
absolutely,
need something,
Woo.
and that's what you
absolutely.
have to come to grips with. I always ask people when they come to me with, he beats me, he does this, he does that. My question is, what do you need from that
What do you
person
need?
that
Right.
you
Right.
can't walk away from? What do
Mm,
you need?
Correct.
mm. It's
What do
powerful right
you
there.
need? Because
Ooh.
sometimes
Ooh.
we need something from an individual, and that's why we're holding on.
Hmm.
We're holding
Ooh.
on to a toxic relationship,
Yes.
knowing that it's toxic, but it's something that you need from that person.
Whew. Mm, mm, mm.
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times that's where our focus is. I see people on social media, and they've been divorced from the person for 5-6 years. I'm like, why are you still that person
Mhm.
friend?
Yeah.
Exactly. Not
You
unless you have a friendship.
right.
That
Now
that's
it's
that's the
different
only
if
time.
you were able.
Right. If
Well,
you're
most
in
people
relate.
they
Right.
they not like that. You got people, and then they comment, and then they frustrated, and then they mad. I'm like,
For what? You doing it
Right,
to yourself.
right,
if
right.
you already know that it wasn't good when you was together, why you gonna try to?
Hmm.
Bingo.
I don't
That's
want to
right.
see that. If it ended bad, then you know what? I don't care what you're doing.
Bye.
Bye.
Exactly. Right.
Hmm.
See you later. But
Exactly.
a
Get up
Bye,
lot
out of
of
there.
times
Felicia.
people hold on
Yeah.
to it, and they're like, "Well, I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's going on with that job that fired me." No,
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
For what?
care.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My
Correct.
audio book that I put out a few years back is called Good Night.
Good night.
Ooh.
You got to say good night to some
Ooh.
people, some
Good night.
places, and some things.
Yes.
There you
That's the
go.
whole
Good
video,
night.
the whole CD. The name of it is
Whew.
Good Night.
Good night. I like that.
And good night means shut it down. Good
Shut
night.
it down.
That's
That
it.
means the lights are out, the blinds are closed, and you're not there.
Good night.
That's good.
Good
That's
night.
good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
uh, Dr. Isaac, final words on focus.
Final words is that instead of focusing instead of focusing on what it is that isn't that's distracting you, you have to focus on where your goal is. For example,
Mhm.
um, uh, Paul, I'm not Paul, but Simon walked on water. Peter walked on. He actually walked on the. He actually walked on water. I can't forget it out. But as long as his focus was
Mhm.
on Jesus,
Mhm.
he was able
Mhm.
to walk on the water.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
And the lesson in that is that when a storm came, he took his eyes off the prize. So
That's it.
when you take your eyes off of what your focus is, then you begin to drown. So no matter what the situation is, stay focused on your goal and your task at hand, no matter what the storm and the situations are around it.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
good.
Dr.
Mhm.
Bennett?
I would say if it doesn't edify, magnify, and glorify the Lord, leave it alone.
Say
Because the
it.
things that God has for you to do, You cannot afford to be distracted nor lose your focus. Stay focused, and you shall see what the end is going to be. Because where you are right now, it's not over. There's a lot more to be accomplished because you have a purpose in life.
Pastor Mel?
Yes, distractions come to get you off of focus, and you have to recognize the distractions in your life. You know what they are, and because you know what they are, don't even yield to it. Don't even look to the left or look to the right to give attention to it. Stay focused.
Right. Amen.
Final words for me is let it go. If it doesn't benefit you, if it doesn't, if it's not a part of your future, your present and your future, and it's not going to get you where you need to go,
Right.
let it go.
Good
Let it
night.
go. Good night.
Good night. Yes.
So this has been a great discussion. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about 2022. This has been some hot topics, but we are 6 minutes over our time. But I just want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today. Thank you, Sharon and Devola, and I think we had some other people that were on here. I think I saw Savea. So thank you. We want to thank all of our viewers that support us every single week, and all of your comments and everything. We really, really, really appreciate you. We are here every Tuesday at 6 o'clock at Breaking the Silence. And until next week, because we want you to come back, because we want to hear what you have to say. So we want you to always remember, you have a voice. Tell your friends about us. Don't forget to share the page. Tell everybody about us. I see those who are sharing, but share some more. You know, we got some really great topics coming up, and we want you to be a part of it. But until then, always remember, you have a voice. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.